Hello, this is Diana with Raising a Large Family, and I just want to share with you how we get through our dishes. We have 14 children, and granted, 3 of them are out of the house, married and have lives of their own now, but we still have the other 11 at home, and that can be a lot of dishes, a lot of people. So I'm going to share with you our system that we have been doing. I don't even know how long. I mean, I know it's been at least 10 years, but I'm sure it's been a lot more than that. It just time flies. And I think you can utilize this system even without 11 children. I mean, even if you just have, I would think 3 would probably be sufficient, just because the more people that have, the more dishes. So the less people I have, the less dishes you have. So anyways, I tend to ramble. So when we were younger, my husband and I were at a friend's house, and they had 8 children, and the wife and husband were sitting down having wine with us, and all the kids were doing dishes. And I was just astonished because I only had a few kids, and I was so used to being the one that did the dishes, and Ed would help occasionally and stuff, depending on how much work he had done that day. But for the most part, it was me. And I was just amazed because here's this mom sitting down actually having a glass of wine with us, and she had the time to do that, even though she had so many dishes and stuff to go on. And it was also seamless too. They were all helping and nobody was fighting. So we started kind of picking her brain, and it was actually the dad who did this. He said he would come home from work, and typical day, you get off at work at like 5 or whatever, and he's like, how come I get to come home and for the most part my day of work is done? I mean, granted, not all of it, because you still have stuff breaks in the house or whatever, and dad fixes it, or whatever, but for the most part his day of work is finished. And he's like, why is my wife still working clear until bed? So that's when he decided to get his kids more into the household chores so that his wife can have a little bit of time off. So we were watching them, and it was just amazing. So we came home and talked about it a little bit, and we had, I'm not even sure how many kids we had. We only had a handful, 4 or 5, I think, something like that, maybe somewhere around there. But the oldest was old enough to wash dishes. She was probably between 6 and 8 years old. I mean, granted, they're not going to be perfect, and she's still little, so stuff's going to still need to be helped. And and the other kids were helping too. But what that meant for us was that I was going to have them help with dinner dishes more. And it was amazing to me because I was not raised around kids. I was one of 2 children, and I basically grew up without my brother for a good portion of my childhood. So I didn't really know what children were capable of, okay? I figured they're little, they're gonna break things, and they're not gonna wash it as well, so I should do it. And that's not the case. So we started having them just helping me wash dinner dishes. And actually, my husband, he's the type that just dives right on in, and he was having them just do all of it to begin with. And that worked pretty well. But there was, some little problems here and there, dishes not as clean or whatever. And so he would, or I would go in there and help them pretty often just to get the routine and the knowledge set on how I wanted things done. So that kind of got things started with the kids doing dishes and learning what they're actually capable of. And then as the years went on, there was more kids, which meant more dishes, which meant, a lot bigger workload, because I would have 1 to 2 kids washing and rinsing and putting away and doing table. And that in the beginning wasn't as much of a load, but now when you get like 8 or 10 kids, that's a lot of work. So we decided to, and then also one of the kids came up to us and said that they would like to have a day off occasionally. So then we started thinking like, okay, so how do we do that? So we lined all the kids up, and I can't remember exactly how many we had. It was probably like 8 or something, maybe 9, or I don't know, something like that. We just had a bunch, and we lined them all up and chose the 3 oldest to be captains or whatever, just in charge of their group. And we let them choose who was going to be on their team. So they all took a turn choosing. Now what that did was every group had, so we must have had 6 that were capable of helping. And when I say capable, the youngest one on the team right now is 5. So they're capable, they can dry and put away. But what this did was you had an older kid, and then you had a middle kid in the group, and then you had the little baby. So the oldest obviously knows what they're doing. The middle kid pretty much knows what they're doing, but still needs a little bit of guidance. And the little one is, you know, as green as can be, and it still needs to learn how to efficiently do the dishes correctly. So you've got the oldest and the middle training the little. Now we had 3 teams. And so team A right now, that is Catherine, Marcel, and Joshua, I believe is that team. I always get them mixed up. So they have dishes Mondays and Thursdays. And then team B would have table, because we always eat at the table as a meal as a family. They would have table Mondays and Thursdays. And then team C has that day off. Okay, and then on Tuesday, everything rotates, and team B has kitchen, team C has table, and team A has the day off, and then same with Wednesday and Saturday. Now, Sunday is the Lord's Day, so Sunday we take the day off when it comes to set chores, and so everybody cleans as a family. Everybody does it, and so we call it a holiday. And so then actually that's another thing, is if there's an unusually large workload, like say Thanksgiving dinner, that would not be nice for me to have team A always have to do Thanksgiving dinner, right? So, or things get really late in the house also is another time we do this. We have what's called a holiday, and we'll just, if it's really late, we'll just yell out it's a holiday, and a couple people will grumble and a couple people will go woohoo, because you know it's their day for dishes, and everybody goes in there and helps as if it was a Sunday. And that gets everything done. But this way we have where there's always a team, almost always, unless it's a holiday, there's always a team that gets that time off of their chores. And so they get to have the night where they can spend some time reading or whatever, and just have a nicer day where they don't have to wash dishes. Another thing is something that to think of is when this is going on, occasionally, you know, you're going to have some mess or whatever. You're going to go in there as mom or dad, and you have to still do this. I mean, even though I have adult children, I still have to do this. You go in there and you make sure that the job was done correctly. You walk in, there's still a couple dishes because somebody cleared the table late. Well, it's the responsibility of people that are washing to make sure that all the dishes from the table were carried in. So it's kind of everybody checks up on everybody else until somebody gets lazy. And that does happen pretty frequently. So I mean, it's human nature. So I'll go in there and I'll yell out, I'm like, whoever had kitchen, it's not done. And I'm not going to do it for them, because if you do it for them, you have just enabled them to take advantage of you from here on out. So I yell in there that table is not done or kitchen is not done, and I'll say, who has it? Because I have mama brain and I never remember who has what. And they'll tell me who was in charge of table or whatever. And they can't say, well, it was so-and-so's job to do it. I'm like, no, you guys are a team. All 3 of you are to stay in this kitchen or in this, you know, dining room or whatever until it's finished, because you're a team. Okay, it's not, well, Joshua, who's 8, was supposed to sweep the floor and he left some food on the floor, so it's his fault. So no, you know, he might have done a garbage job, but that doesn't mean that you get to leave. That means that you, being the oldest or middle child, get to go in there and check up and say, hey, Joshua, you left this, you know, food on the floor, you need to resweep. That's your job. You're the oldest or the middle kid or whatever. So it's that whole accountability has to take place, and everybody kind of helps each other and works as a team. And another thing, when you have them pick their own teams, they usually pick somebody that they get along with. So even after a while, some of the kids will have problems and they'll ask for a re-team or whatever. I don't know what you'd call it, but where they pick new teams, almost always they end up picking almost the same team. If anything has changed, it only works for like a month or 2, and then they want the team back. So I don't know. But they usually pick members of the family that they get along with better. And so that's kind of nice because, you know, then there's less bickering and whatever else. I'm trying to think if there's anything else that, I think that's pretty much it. I can't really think of anything else that, that we're doing, but we've been doing this for, oh wow, I don't even know, 10, 15 years, and we will continue to do it. Right now we have the 11 kids in the house and it's working fabulously. It goes clear down till just the youngest, just the baby and the 3-year-old are not on a team. So all of those above it are on a team. So I hope this has helped you. We were doing this from a long time ago. So even if you only have 4 or 5 kids, you can start doing something of a similar nature. And I hope this has helped. So have a great day.